Welcome back to Scrubbed In, episode 7. This episode needs no introduction. We're going to continue what we were talking about last week, which is our time on our first ever clinical placement. So I'm going to try to remember what we stopped on last time. Where did we stop? Do you remember?
The fact that you always came to Margate thinking that I'm going to bring money for a cab ride home.
Nah, listen, no.
It was you. Yeah. Oh my god.
Do you know what? I used to always bring money. I used to always have change. But the one time.
Okay, let me tell you my point of view first. I think let me have first say. So I come to Margate with all the bags and everything. I meet you in Victoria. We take the whole coach ride. Right. At no point in the journey you tell me you bought your exact fair share of the cab ride of £2.50 in an exact coin of two £1 coins and 50p coins. So when we get to Margate, why do you tell me once it's like 1 a.m, all the banks are shut, there's no cash point inside, you tell me, where's your share of the money?
Wait, why did you, 1 year? So just a bit of context. So the hospital or the accommodation we're staying is probably like a 5-10 minute cab ride from the station. And we usually normally grab a cab, you take the coach to Margate station, and then you take a cab to the hospital or the accommodation. And so normally I always bring change. You know, I'm the money man, innit?
The money man. So you brought two £1 coins and a 50p.
So normally I usually have change, like I have £5, but this was the one time I came with like enough change to cover my part of the journey. But he assumed that I would have enough to cover his. One thing, why didn't you bring your own money? That's one. Why did you legit come and thought I'm gonna pay for it? You should have bought your fare.
No, listen. Every time we had money, okay, fine. The preceding million times we had our money, we brought our fair share. Just one day I didn't have change, and I thought, the guy usually has a note on him. So it's cool.
So for me, it was the one day I thought, do you know what? I don't have any more change. I just got enough fare. So what it meant is basically we realized we had £2.50 between us.
2 a.m.
or like 1 o'clock. It was super late, man. And we used to come with these proper big Nike rucksacks because we used to carry our laptops, our clothes. And we used to have like a bunch of food containers.
Asian household that used to supply you with 3 weeks worth of food.
So, and we were like, crap. And I remember we were like, fine, we're gonna have to walk it. And it was like a 10-15 minute walk with breaks every 5 minutes.
And it's not, the thing is, it was like uphill as well. So it was stress.
And these places, especially the one thing you have to understand is London is very well connected. There's tubes, there's cabs, there's bus stops. Places outside of London, it doesn't exist like that.
We tried the thumb technique. Remember, we stood outside.
So we did that. Thumb. What did we get? We got abused. Literally, remember there was a group of guys in a car, and it was us two Asian people walking down, and literally they pulled down the window, looked at us, and splurred some comments which I don't want to say on camera.
We can just say it in a very posh tone.
No, they just basically cussed our mothers, our dads, our ethnicity, and us in one very nice long sentence.
And we just looked at them like...
We just looked at them with our thumbs sticking up if they could give us a lift to the hospital. And that put it even more down now. So we're going up this hill. We just got abused. We don't have enough money between us, and we're literally walking for 10-15 minutes. And we had to take every 5-minute breaks. And I remember we had to move the bag from one shoulder to the other shoulder because it hurts. And then you get these marks on your hands because the curries are so heavy. Man, we went... That was a rough day.
It was a 20-minute journey. No.
It was longer than that. It took a while. 100%
it took a while because we needed breaks. And we were providing each other moral support. Abdul, are you okay, bro? Do you need a 5-minute break? And then after 10 minutes, he'd be like, yo, Amz, you okay? Do you need...
It was such a long-winded route to the hospital. But places outside of London, it just pays to have a car, pays to have enough money to cab.
And we got there.
And you know what the funny thing was, it's like, we never learned from our mistakes because this wasn't the first time. We had 2 other peripheral placements. So we did Margate, we did Ashford, and then we did somewhere else. Hastings, yeah. Every time there will always be that one day where neither of us has enough money, or I forget, he forgets, or something will happen, and we're just walking. And the walk from the station to the hospital, or the walk from the accommodation, and it was like a 15-20 minute walk, and you're carrying like half the world with you.
The weight of the world on our shoulders.
You're just literally just giving each other moral guidance and support.
But we got away. So we used to say to the cab. So again, a tip if you don't have money. Ask the cab driver to take you to a cash point. I think we did that a couple of times. They'd take us to the cash point and then take us to a destination.
So like it's worth asking. But that thumb technique, it doesn't work. You just get racially abused.
Don't.
And we were shocked when it happened. Our jaws dropped. We literally just looked at each other and we laughed. We actually laughed because it was so funny. So that was that cab journey.
Remember one of our favorite consultants?
Oh my! There is this legendary consultant at the hospital we're in. He was a stroke consultant, super lovely guy, very knowledgeable, and he used to do PowerPoint presentations.
Going on to his character though, he was super nice. I remember every single person in the hospital said hello to him, would give him a smile.
Yeah.
Right the way from cleaners to doctors to nurses to HCAs. He was just such a lovely guy.
He was like a soft character, and like you enjoyed seeing him. And I remember he used to go to his office. He was full of cards and chocolates. Everyone loved him. He was that doctor everyone loved, and he genuinely cared about his patients and all the people he worked with. And he was very enthusiastic, right? And I remember he used to give us these like presentations, which was just like white with black text, and so there was
blocks of heavy text
because he knew what he was talking about. And I remember Amz, before we got here, he was mentioning like medical students are very good at showing you that they're very attentive and listening when in fact they're probably zoning out and their mind is elsewhere. And my days, I remember he had this PowerPoint presentation, and on the left hand side you can see how many slides. On the bottom he said 234 pieces of information. It was 234 slides. Even if a slide is 10 seconds, that's like you're gonna be there forever. Right. And I remember we got up to 100 and something, and he probably just sensed it. And I remember everyone was fatigued and tired, and it's like a 2-3 hour learning session.
What happened was, so he tried to make it into an engaging lecture, and he would ask questions, and everyone was like,
and I remember he's like, okay, let's see how many slides we have left to go. So he exited it, and he was at 100 and something. He's like, oh gosh, another 100 to go. So all you see, he's like, okay chaps, this is enough for today. Exit and left. He just saw there was another 100 slides to go. Neither him nor us were in any mood at all to learn. It was like a Thursday or Friday evening. Everyone wanted to get home. But I remember I have never till today seen a PowerPoint presentation with more than 30-40 slides. But 200, he got tired. He saw the number of slides left and he got tired, and he's like, chaps, you know what, you can go home. But he's a lovely
There's
consultant.
Two things that shows, right? Number one is that we can't learn from big blocks of text on PowerPoints, and especially when there's 250 million slides. He got tired of it. He turned it off and he walked out.
He got tired of his own presentation. He got tired of his own presentation that he was delivering, and then he left and quit.
And then you touched on it before. So you touched on the fact that medical students are absolute pros of showing you, got it, understand. And then when the consultant asks you, okay, then so what protein did I just mention? And you're just like, nah. Just like, sorry, I don't know. No. We were pros at that. We were absolute pros.
No, so that was like the clinical presentation, but the teaching sessions were really good. The tutorials were really good because compared to lecture theatres, I think, which was last week's episode, now you're in clinical firms with a clinical pair, and it's like max 8 to 12 people. So you're in a very small room, and you get really good teaching, and you get to practice OSCEs, and you get to practice a lot of different things. So it's like being back in school again. So that covers clinical skills. You know what I just remembered? So Margate was basically at that time, it's the whole insecurities thing. So I used to be really skinny then. I'm still really skinny. I've kind of lost a lot of weight. We used to go to this gym, right? And it was like a ghetto gym. There was a nice gym around the corner, but that was like £60 a month.
Oh, that was weird. It was a Bannatyne gym, I think.
Bannatyne or like a Lloyd gym, or one of these fancy gyms. Like some of the people went there, but £60 was far too much money for us. Bear in mind, we used to take the coach because it was cheaper than the train, and that coach journey was another hour longer than like a 2-hour train journey. So we ended up finding this gym, or Amz found this gym, which was another 15-20 minute walk. And lo and behold, the beauty. This gym was a really good gym, but
it was.
So in this gym, it's a family-run gym, but the one guy whose family used to own it was basically B Young. So I don't know who. I'm sure everyone will know who B Young is. He's a guy that did Jumanji, Gucci Demon. Like he's like a massive super YouTube. Like
he was a really
rapper.
nice guy, man.
No, he still is.
He's
like,
really nice
so
guy.
Basically, for all the people that know him, we used to basically a good few years ago go to gym with B Young, and he used to be like a tank. Like he was really hench. And I remember we used to gym with him, and he used to be like, yo, he's from London and we're from London. He was like, yo, this is the family gym, and he's talking about us, and we kind of got along. But this was like pre-fame, so this is before he got famous, and like we used to be gymming together. He spot us, we spot him, and it was good fun. And I was just like talking about, I was like, because we're thinking about Margate, and I was like, bro, can you imagine we used to go gym with B Young,
exactly,
a good 2-3 times a week out there smashing out the weights. So B Young, if you're watching this, remember us. You're doing amazing.
Remember, can you subscribe? And can you share our podcast, please?
So B Young, if you're watching this, make sure you subscribe, like, comment. But massive congratulations, man. He was such a good, down to earth, humble guy, and he deserves every success in the world. And I hope and I wish him even more success. So all the people at B Young, tell him if he remembers us. I'm sure he will do, because we had loads of jokes. Because you're out there in Margate, and we're all London people, and it's like when you're familiar with someone, you kind of make a bond with them. But yeah, it was just funny. Can you imagine? And I remember the first time we saw his music video on YouTube, and I remember it was on our group chat. I was like, yo, man, this is the guy we used to go gym with. He's got a banging music track. So you get a bit excited. But yeah, like that was a good time.
It was good.
Wow, so I'm trying to think of like all the stories, because there's so many, and I kind of want to share it all with you.
Hold on. Before we start just giving stories away, we need to think about giving them also an insight.
Okay, fine.
So let's take a quick step back. What can we tell them about clinical placement?
Alright,
so we've said the structure, right? We told them about the structure, that it's now you're in groups of 8 or 10 individuals. You're in pairs. You go to the wards. Is there anything else that you can think of?
I'd say so before that, me and Amz used to like be in the room next to each other, right? So we used to plan the night before. Okay, we're gonna wake up at 9, get in for 9:30, and he used to always add it half an hour. And I remember we got to the point, Amz is very punctual, he's always on time. I used to always be late, and I remember it got to the point he had to ring my phone, wake me up, and then he started banging the door, the wall.
I used to kick the wall and kick.
And I have to wake up, every day we're going in late because of you. So I'd say get a good clinical partner, have someone that's very diligent, very on it like Amz. But I think the key thing that we learned was, you get given a timetable, but as a medical student, we have autonomy. Like you are allowed to do a lot of self-directed learning. So I would say you don't need to basically go to every single ward round, do everything. So all the compulsory stuff, do it because you need to be there. But at the end of the day, it's self-directed learning. So make the most of it. So make your own timetable as a supplement to the one you get given. And if these are the opportunities before you become a doctor to speak to as many patients as you can, examine as many patients as you can, and basically have supervision. Because as soon as you become a doctor, that responsibility falls on you. And maximize your learning. So if you feel that ward rounds aren't beneficial for you, go to the 1 or 2, learn how it works, learn, okay, these are the skills I need to learn. Then start going off. Like, we used to do like...
I think that's what it was, isn't it? So me and you, what we decided was that we identified what skills we needed to have, i.e. we needed to be able to pick up abnormal heart sounds, when there was sort of differences in pulses, how to do a chest exam, all of the sort of must-have skills. And instead of just sort of joining ward rounds and always just hanging around the wards, what we did was we created our own timetable saying, okay, week 1, Abdul, we're going to go in and just listen to lots of heart sounds. Week 2, what we'll do is we'll go and listen to lots of breath sounds. Week 3, we'll do lots of examinations, and you'll assess me and I'll assess you, and give feedback. I think that's important with a partner. Give loads of feedback. I think that will set you up.
So we're proactive,
really well.
So it's very easy to basically hang around and not do anything. You can easily spend a good few hours just hanging around, having a long lunch break, but be proactive. You get logbooks. There are ways to guide it. So, at the end of the rotation, or at the end of the next few weeks, you want to say, I want to have learned how to do a cardiovascular exam. I want to learn how to, take a cardiac history or do blood. And I mean, be proactive, because it's very easily you can get through med school not having learned anything, and then there's this rush day 1 of F1 where you're learning how to do things. There will always be a situation where you need to learn because you may not have covered it, but be proactive, and use the logbook as a guide, especially for King students. Like, learn how to do procedures, examinations, learn, you're in a very protected and safe environment. So I would say take that to your advantage. Don't just stick to the timetable they're giving you, because a lot of them is free time and you can just easily be sitting around. So be proactive, make the most of it, because the stuff we learned in 3rd year on the cardiology, medicine block are still the same things that I use today. And
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And we're thankful and grateful that we were proactive. Do you know what? And it was the reason why we were very good at OSCEs. At the end of the day, you are dealing with real patients, and if you don't speak to real patients and you don't get into the manner of speaking to them or having etiquettes and manners, these are things you'll be playing to catch up to learn later on.
And you wanna importantly, you wanna play the long game. I think that's what allowed me and you to continue with all the extra projects that we were doing at the time. So I think we decided to be consistent every day and do some work every day rather than no work and then do lots of work heading up to exams. And I think that's why we managed to do sort of OSCEs. We only, if you think about it, we practiced OSCEs for a relatively shorter period of time under sort of assessed sort of time pressure. Otherwise we were just consistently just going in, engaging with the clinical team and things like that. So I think the long game is definitely advisable. The long game allows you to also be stress free. We weren't stressing like
especially
crazy.
for medicine, and it doesn't mean like, I still feel we had immense amount of fun. We enjoyed med school, we enjoyed our clinical rotations, we enjoyed living out for 3 months. At the same time, although we didn't kind of revise textbook, go through the books, we clinical skills and patient wise we learned a lot. So you can do both, and I think it pays to be organized, it pays to kind of make a plan, it kind of pays to have a structured approach in your learning. And like we said in the previous episodes, find the best way you learn. If you're someone that needs to do things in a repetitive order, if you're someone that's a visual learner, if you're someone that needs to go by yourself just to kind of gather your head, gather your thoughts, do that. If you need someone to teach you or watch you do it, to give you feedback, do it. But don't waste time at med school. Don't hang around and don't do nothing, because it can easily happen. And we're victims to it as well. There's been days where we've rocked up, haven't done anything, and gone back home and we literally didn't achieve anything.
Exactly.
So that is a bit of like a serious point for people that are watching and do want some sort of advice and tips and tricks on how to do well in med school or any degree really. And be proactive.
But don't, let's be honest though. Let's you can't be disheartened by it, because it's part and parcel of being a medical student, turning up onto the wards. And the registrar or the FY1 is supposed to be teaching you, but then they've had crash calls, they've got loads of important jobs to do, or to get a patient transferred into a major centre or accept a patient and so forth, and so teaching gets cancelled. I think it's quite disheartening, because you just you'll turn up at 9 a.m, you'll be there until 1 p.m and nothing's happened. So it's quite disheartening, but at the same time it's part and parcel. Just keep your chin up and make sure you always have a plan B. So with your clinical partner, if the teaching doesn't go ahead, you can say, okay, you know what, let's go and examine, let's do a cardiovascular exam on a patient, and I'll critique you, you'll critique me. Make use of your time and be proactive. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I'm trying to think of anything else that would be beneficial to the people that are listening and seeing this. And we've kind of talked about the things that we got up to. We've talked about bullying and how to kind of deal with it. We talked about how clinical placements are an amazing opportunity to learn. We talked about the madness. I remember that time one of our mates, we basically blocked the sink, and it was when you block the sink, the water used to come up. So what we did, we went, you open, and these little, none of us are plumbers, let's be honest, and one of the guys basically, he unplugged it to basically take out the whatever was blocking it, and he ended up flooding the kitchen.
Oh, it was all my eggshells.
Yeah, it was the eggshells.
It was my eggshells.
Yeah, so he flooded the kitchen. I can remember the picture in my head right now because I took a photo of it, and we just flooded the kitchen. I think they must have rejoiced in joy like when we left, because we caused havoc in that building. I'm trying to remember, it was block D, but I can't remember which.
Let's not give too many details away, man. Do you want to be hunted down?
No, it was block B, but I can't remember what flat it was. But man, we had a lot of fun.
It was good fun.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good time. Not only did we get to learn a lot of medicine, we finally became medical students. We kind of saw an insight into what it takes to be a doctor, and it's nice. It was a change. Bear in mind, we did pre-clinical years, and even before doing clinical skills or clinical placement, we did an integrated BSc, which we can talk about next week. So it was 3 years of like clinical like lectures, and it was nice. It was refreshing to be on the wards, be free, have more autonomy, more self-directed learning, and you kind of feel the part of being a doctor. So that was good. I think to wrap up, it would be nice to kind of, because I know we didn't probably give in the last episode 3 pieces of advice or 3 golden nuggets, and we can keep a focus on how to make the most of clinical years or how to make the most of clinical placements.
So if I give my 3 bits, I would say number 1, So I'm going to give lots of academic advice here, I think. So number one, what I think you should do is understand the pathology of whatever disease you're studying, right? Don't just learn the signs and symptoms. I think the Oxford Handbook, the Cheese and Onion book, was really good for that. It just gave signs, it gave symptoms, it gave causes, and it just sort of said straight away what it is. But I found that very difficult, because how do you commit that to memory? And it just takes up a lot of memory space like that. So what I did was I actually studied a different book. I did the Kumar and Clark book first and used just the general internet. And I would understand the pathophysiology. So understand how diabetes comes about, how a heart attack occurs, what's happening at the sort of vascular level. And when you understand all of that, you're right, you don't need to memorize signs and symptoms. It makes sense why certain things occur. So I think understand the topic and then move on to learning what it sort of manifests as in a patient. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you have a clinical partner, okay? Make sure you have a partner and you both motivate each other. You go in, you have plan Bs, Cs, make sure you're always critiquing each other and you're having fun. That's the most important thing. And that's number three. So number 1 and 2, essentially work hard. Number 3, make sure you play hard. So also just have fun. Learn how to enjoy the ward rounds. Learn how to enjoy going into placement. Learn how to enjoy when you got time away from the placement. So yeah, those 3 things, I think they're the most important things.
Yeah, I'd probably echo what you said. Me, knowing me, or people that know me, I would flip it. I'll say work hard, play hard. So enjoy it, enjoy your time.
You're on Insta stories telling everyone to watch Peaky Blinders half the time.
Oh yeah, so by the way, Peaky Blinders, if there's 2 things you do on a Sunday, is watch Scrubbed In and then watch Peaky Blinders.
In that order, by the way. Scrubbed In first.
Yeah. So I'd say make sure you enjoy time. Make sure you enjoy your time at medical school, at university, clinical placements, because you don't want to kind of leave university having regrets, kind of because F1 and F2 is busy. We know it. We're busy. We just came off a busy shift. Enjoy it, so that when you look back, you're like, you know what? Now it's time for me to work. Let me grind. Let me work hard, because I did get to enjoy medical school. So enjoy it, but at the same time, make sure you take the time and effort to learn. And I would say clinical years are some of the years that kind of define you as a doctor, and are years when you can hone in your skills to become a very good junior doctor. Secondly, I would say having a clinical partner is good. You can encourage and motivate each other, and there is a responsibility. So for me, if I was by myself, I know I'd wake up late, I'd have no responsibility, I'll be all over the place. But having that commitment, and if I'm saying let's get in for 9:30, I'll be like, do you know what, I can't let him down, I need to be in there. And that means I end up learning. And the third piece of advice I would say is I always come back to is identify the way you learn. If you're someone that needs to read something before you go to the ward run, or if you're someone that before you examine a patient, learn how to examine a patient, examine them, learn and get feedback, and then refine it. Do that. Find what works for you. Find the best way you learn and keep at it. And you can always learn different techniques. Don't stick to one. Don't stick to... I know my learning style is very different to Amz, and Amz is very different to mine. It's very easy to be caught up, the vast majority of medical students are revising in this way. They're spending hours on end. Don't be sucked into that. Find your way of learning. And I think the good thing is doctors, consultants, they enjoy teaching and they're more than happy to help. So, and at the end of the day, medicine, it doesn't value, knowledge is there, but you are a consultant and a registrar and a senior doctor because of the experience you have. And you don't pick that up from a book. So increase the number of patients you are seeing, increase the number of patients you're examining, because a consultant is a consultant and we are junior because he has seen hundreds of the same cases, hundreds of the same different cases. So use that knowledge, the source of knowledge, and use that and expose yourself to as much clinical practice as you can.
Just before we wrap up though, I've actually forgotten to say something which is quite important to the transition from preclinical to clinical. Which is important for anyone who experiences this. So when I sort of came to that transition point, I actually struggled. That adaptation of going from, I was more of a bookworm. Give me a book and I'll eat it for breakfast, right? I'll be able to memorize every single piece of text from top to bottom. When I came to the clinical sort of side, I did find it quite challenging. Like, I know everything about arrhythmias, but when I see it in action, I'm not picking it up. And I was quite disheartened. I was like, why am I not able to do that? But I think it goes back to the point you just made about experience, right? when you see something repetitively, when you see the arrhythmias, when you see the heart attacks, when you see the pneumonias, right? All of that textbook knowledge then comes to life. So if you do go into the clinical world and feel a little bit disheartened because you're not able to pick up what everyone is also seamlessly picking up. Again, everyone's different. I think it happens to a lot more of the bookworms like myself. You go into that environment, it's difficult now to translate all of that. But I think stick to your third piece of advice. Keep seeing patients, sort of increase your exposure to seeing, sort of examining all of the cases, and with experience you'll settle in and you'll notice that that transition period has been made a lot smoother. So that's, I think, just to add to your final bit.
No, I agree.
Quite important.
So I think it's a nice time to wrap up episode 7. Thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tune in next week for episode 8, where we'll discuss our intercalated BScs. We did 2 very different BScs at 2 very different universities, and I think there is always this debate, to BSc or not to BSc. Exactly. And I think we can talk about that, and we can talk about as a medical point of view as well as being junior doctors. So tune in next week and we can talk about should you or should you not do an intercalated BSc at med school. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.
See you then.